Bottle pop, truth drop, welcome to the show. Champagne secrets, let your power grow. Every video, spark, ignite your inner light. Raise a glass to the future, shining bright. Empowerment is the code, we decode. Unravel mysteries, life's own secret load. Step by step, tap in, find your flow. With champagne secrets, you're gonna glow.
Unlock the strength within you, watch it bloom. Life's a canvas, painted every room. Through ups and downs, cheers to what's next. Champagne secrets, life's complex. Champagne secrets, let your power grow. Every video, spark, ignite your inner light. Raise a glass to the future, shining bright. Empowerment is the code, we decode. Unravel mysteries, life's own secret load. Step by step, tap in, find your flow. With champagne secrets, you're gonna glow. Unlock the strength within you, watch it bloom. Life's a canvas, painted every room. Through ups and downs, cheers to what's next. Champagne secrets, life's complex.
For a second and let's talk. Yo, DJ, roll that beautiful champagne footage.
All my life, all my life, heard this secret. It was, if I've been seeking this special secret. This is something that I did. Try to put my friends on, and I finally found it, you know. This is a champagne secrets moment. I wanna share it with y'all, so tap in. Scoot up for a second. Let's toast.
Champagne gang, FizzFam, Confidante. Welcome to the Champagne City, baby. Place that we call Champagne Central, which is the home channel for all of the rest of the channels that we have. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm the Empress, and you are joining me for grown discussions and bubbly banter. Baby, over here we give classy with a twist, huh? A little clink with chaos with a side of charm. So if you're ready to sip, savor, and spill, then this is what I need you to do. Say hi to a few people in the chat. And I want you to always remember you are welcome in the Champagne City.
Confidants, what is your profession? See my friend, nothing, soldiers and empowerment over here.
Pop that cork, let it rain, living lavish, no restraint.
Confidant?
Y'all see it. You are welcome in the Champagne City. So y'all listen, we got a show for you today. So we're gonna get ready to get into it. Hold on a second. So let me let y'all know I am going to be flipping between two different programs. So first of all, I want to take the time to thank each and every one of you who were kind of patient within this last month. For those of you who do know, March was a bit rough for me because it was the 1 year anniversary of losing my grandbaby. So I kind of pulled back from the videos and stuff because I had to get myself together emotionally. But for those of you who stayed during that time when I wasn't putting out any more videos, because y'all know I create all this stuff myself. So it takes time and energy, and you got to be mentally and emotionally prepared for all the creation you going to have to do when you start trying to do all these lovely backgrounds and production value. But thank you for sticking in there with me. I also want to wish a very special, special happy birthday to someone who is very, very special to me. And that is my daughter. She turned 29 on today. So I need y'all to drop some champagne glasses and some happy birthdays in the chat for my baby girl because I love me some her. Yes, I do. One of these days I may, drop some pictures, maybe members only. You'll get a Empress family time or something. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna get ready to get into the show. Um, Not really a bubbly show. It's really not. We're also gonna have some open panel discussions on it. But give me 1 second while I switch to my other screen. Thank you. We scroll down. Allow me to say this, right? Because for those of you who don't know, let me go ahead and show this thumbnail. This is what we're discussing today. We're discussing this case with, hold on 1 second. Yeah. Okay, we're discussing this case with this young named Austin Metcalf. So we're going to be getting into this. We're going to be getting into a lot of different reactions through this story. We're going to be listening to some Twitter reactions, and y'all know Twitter is like free speech nation, should I say, where Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, you got to be a little bit more censored. Appears to me Twitter is like all no holds barred. You can say whatever you want to on Twitter and it's not going to be a problem. So we're going to get into kind of the reactions and the responses. And this is what I want us to understand because we've taken this situation of this young black boy who is unalive this young white boy. And here's the problem when it became a black versus white thing, then you miss the whole premise of the story altogether. Yeah, that's the problem that I have with it. We're so busy in this race to divide that nobody is really looking at the true facts of the story. So we're going to get into some of those, and this probably is going to be a two-part thing. We'll probably do part two on tomorrow. But I'm going to be opening up the line for you guys to come up and give your thoughts on this situation after we go through some of these things. But this is what I want you to understand. This is not going to be one of those panels where we are race baiting. No, we don't do that over here. No. We're not going to make this a black versus white thing. Yeah, because I know that's what media and the world wants us to do. They want us to be at odds and at each other's throat. You know why? Because as long as we're divided, what do we accomplish? Is what I want to know. You know, as long as we choose to hate, where does that leave our children and our children's children? That's what I really want. one of the biggest questions that I have in the situation, and please, for anyone who's been over here in any period of time, we do not tear each other down. We do not um, talk about each other. We do not cuss each other out over here. So if I do see that in the comments, it will be blocked immediately because negative. That's not what we do at the Champagne City. We don't do that. We do have grown discussions and bubbly banter. That's what we do. We do talk about situations. I don't have a problem if you disagree with me, but your disagreement should be respected. So the only thing that we're going to ask is that you respect each other, respect each other's comments, and let's have a discussion about this situation that took place with these two young men, right? This is what I need you guys to understand, right? And I'm going to talk to my people first, right? Just because this happened, you remember this, right? Just because this happened, right? You remember this, right? And there's countless others that I could put up on the screen, right? Just because these incidents happen doesn't make it this. It doesn't. It doesn't. Here's what I have a problem with us. Not just us Black people, us as a people, as a nation, as a world, right? We're so busy generalizing. So because you have a few frucked up police officers with God complexes who feel like they have the right to end a life, now all of a sudden all police officers are garbage. They're all the same. None of them can be different. But the minute it's us and we're categorized, it's, oh, all Black people are not the same. Right. No one is the same. So why do we consistently want to generalize and put everything in one thing? No, we have to start dealing with a thing as the thing being the thing. There used to be an old saying that says, keep the main thing the main thing. That white officer unalive that Black male over there. He's the problem, not all police. It ain't no different than women saying all men are dogs. No, the ones you keep letting sniff behind you are the dogs. Here's the problem. As long as every time a situation comes up, all we see and say is race, then we're going to miss a lot of the bigger issues that go on. Why is no one asking why a young man felt the need to have to carry a knife with him to attract me? Why isn't that the question on the table? Why? I don't think he lived on campus. Did he have to go through rough neighborhoods to get to the school? While we're labeling this boy a thug simply because he had a knife in his book bag at a track meet, who stopped to ask why? Why? Had he been to previous track meets and there was issues that arose? So we're going to get into it. Where? And on the flip side, this is what I need my Caucasian champagne gang to understand. Just because these two happen, it doesn't not make this the same. Do you get it? Because right now, we don't know. It's a bunch of speculation. Karmelo is saying it was self-defense. He defended himself. You have the brother of Austin Hussein. They just got into an altercation. It was just verbal. And this ended up happening. We don't know. Everyone has an opinion, but we can't make our opinion fact. Here are the facts of the case. The facts are you have two young men whose lives are irreparably changed. You have Austin, who's no longer here. Whether he was a bully or not. So let's say this before I go there. As much as people can call Karmelo a thug, what else did I read? Uh, POS and all of this. I even read someone else in a comment, and I'm gonna pull it up in a second, who said that young black men are basically violent, disproportionately violent, right? Just like you can say that because of this situation, we forget that it's not one side or the other. Do you not? Let me start off because this is what we miss. Let me pull it back because we want to act like one side or the other is exempt, like one side is better or worse than the other. See, this is what happens when we want to spend so much time hating instead of figuring out how to get along so that we can save our children and save our future. Because guess what? Black people ain't going nowhere. Guess what? White people ain't going nowhere. So, the same way you can have this 17-year-old African American male unalives his pregnant girlfriend and her unborn child. And you can have this OnlyFans model accused of killing, unaliving her boyfriend. You can also have this Indianapolis man accused of unaliving 5 family members, right? But you also have this mass murder. You also have this mass murder. You also have this mass murder. But now you also have this. There is no side that wins this argument. That's what I don't understand here. Who wins? Because you want to point the finger. No, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. How about stepping back and asking the question, right? Why do we have a society of young people who feel like the only way to solve conflict is through violence? I don't know. Should that maybe be the question? I don't know about y'all, but we wasn't doing all this while we was playing Super Mario Brothers. Uh-uh. We wasn't trying to unalive each other while we was playing Mario Kart. But now we have GTA and all of these other games that's hell bent on violence. We ain't talking about Call of Duty because I play Call of Duty Mobile. Now you a soldier in Call of Duty, so Call of Duty is exempt from this conversation. But you got games where these kids are SAing individuals in the game, stealing cars, robbing stores, robbing other people, beating up people in the game. A game. Do you not know that a lot of these kids that's out here stealing cars learn how to drive cars from driving cars in GTA? I said a while ago, but I got a smaller channel, so nobody see it. I said a while ago, our children are in trouble. I say it over and over and over and over and over again. But nobody, because all you're looking at is color. Nobody is taking the time to ask, why did he feel the need to have to go out the house to attract me with a knife in his bag? Why? Another question would be, since it is being said that there's so much video footage, would be, why did no one intervene before it got to this point? But we were busy videoing the altercation, though, right? No one alerted security that a problem was about to escalate. No one. Not one parent went down there and said, young man, this, it ain't even worth it. What's the problem? Nobody. There's so many problems in this situation to be discussed, besides the fact that one kid is black and one kid is white. Here's one of the things that we got to understand, and I wish I had took a screenshot of it. Let me get me up here in a minute. Hold on, before we do that, let me pull these down. So when I come back, we can go to the next screen. Here's one thing, right, that I need us to understand. And let me see what y'all saying in the comments before we continue. Pick up yourself, Empress. Thank you. Gracias, señor. Saying hi to the people in the chat. Father Locke in the house. Lockville, welcome. Progressive says the cycle of hate on both sides creates chaos. Chaos creates fear. Fear creates money for the powers that be. Go to bed safely because they are playing chess and most of the world is playing checker. I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. How can we come to a solution if everybody's back is turned to each other, but we're busy pointing the finger in the other direction? No one is bold and brave enough to say, you know what? Let's come to the table and have a conversation. Nobody gonna say it. Do you know why? Because, Lord, y'all, my light turned off. Nobody's gonna say that because That's not where the fame and fortune are, right? It's not where the clicks and views are. People are excited hmm when they see us arguing and fighting each other on the enter of the net because it feeds their cause. Do you not realize what will happen if we stop being triggered by certain things that people say to trigger us? Words only have as much power as you give them. So as long as we allow words to have power over us, guess what's going to happen? People are going to continue to use them because they know you're going to give them the reaction and response that they want so that they can continue to say that you are who they think you are. That's the problem. But let's continue because I got a few things that I want to show y'all. One thing, oh, before I go there, because we're going to get into some comments from social media. One thing that we got to understand when it comes to this case, right? So we have Karmelo, who went to the track meet with the blade in his back, right? And he was approached allegedly by Austin and his brother, allegedly. We're going to play some videos. And altercation escalated. Karmelo asked Austin not to put his hands on him. Austin did it anyway. Karmelo asked Austin allegedly, if you hit me, see what happens. Allegedly. Austin did it. And here we stand with what ended up happening at the track meet. Whenever there's a crowd, right, you have to have two things. One of my favorite shows was Criminal Intent with Goring. And I looked up what Criminal Intent meant one day because that was my favorite Law and Order show. What it basically said was when a person commits a crime, in order for there to be a conviction, even a charge, two things have to be present. You have to have an act that is criminal. After you determine that the act was criminal, you have to understand the intent behind the act or the motive. When everybody's going back and forth over whether or not this could be considered self-defense, remember, before he can be charged, his intent has to be understood. You can say all day that the intent of this young man was to cause harm to someone because he took a blade to the school. That's suggestive. Because first we will have to understand the route he needed to take to school. Next, you'd have to understand the things that he had to deal with on that route, or potentially what he's had to deal with at the school itself. The knife being in the bag, the reason, should I say, for the knife being in the bag is going to come into a whole lot of play when it comes to determining whether or not his intent was criminal. That's what's going to determine whether or not it's going to be first degree, second degree, third degree. What I want y'all to think about on both sides, because we have Neither situation is innocent, is what I need us to understand. We're living in a day and age, like I said, where these kids are reaching for weapons before they do anything else. There's no communication. There's no let's talk it out. It's either let's fight or let's shoot, or in this case, use a knife. Gone is the day where you just got in the street and handled it. But see, you can't get in the street and handle it now because the fight never ends. That's why I don't understand why you rush to conflict. Because once one person takes a L, then they family want to come back for vengeance. Then the other family got to pull. It's a never ending cycle. Again, I say because we have shows like Now That's TV and Zeus Network that all they teach the young people is violence, not conflict resolution. And I can tell half of y'all aren't teaching y'all kids conflict resolution by the way some of y'all responded to this situation on Twitter and on Facebook. If you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Does racism exist? Yes. But the same way racism exists, ignorant black people exist too. The same way that exists, young people with no coping skills exist too. This is my thoughts and how I feel about the matter, right? For all of the people who are wishing hate on Austin and who are celebrating the fact that this young man is no longer here, you're part of the problem. You are. Whether he was a bully or not, he did not deserve his life to end. That's the part that we're missing. He didn't. One of the biggest problems that we had, right, when the CCW thing came about was that so many people went and got a gun, went and got their CCWs, not realizing that in order in a lot of states for you to be able to pull that gun and use that gun, you have to be met with the same amount of force that you're going to defend yourself with. Meaning, if a dude runs up to you to fight you and you pull out a gun and shoot him, in a lot of states, oh, you going down. Might not be first degree, might not be second degree, might not even be manslaughter. What's the other one? Um, Aggravated assault, maybe. But do you know why? Because if the other individual didn't have a weapon, then you're using deadly force on an unarmed individual. Because the amount of force that you use has to match the threat. And this is where you're getting the people going back and forth at. It's self-defense. It's self-defense. Why couldn't they fight it out? Why is the automatic thought for our young people, and I'm taking this away from Karmelo, I'm asking in general, why is it automatically a weapon? But on the flip side, this ought to be a lesson to some of you. Leave people alone. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what they're facing. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're feeling in that moment. You don't know what they had to deal with on the way to get to deal with you. So we have two young men here who made messed up decisions in the heat of the moment. And you don't think we need to learn coping skills? So let's get into it. I done talked enough. Probably bird y'all enough. But I'm tired of it. Everything is race, 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 race. Everything isn't about race. It's not about black or white. And there's so many of us on both sides that are making it that. So what I want to do now is I want you to check this out. Not that one. So this was a post made by, allegedly made by one of Austin's friends. Now, what I am going to say, excuse me, is I've heard a lot come out being said about some accounts and posts being fake. I don't know. So that's why I'm saying in this situation, allegedly. But it says, man, Austin, I'm really going to miss you. I never got the chance to actually play with you, but man, you were the greatest linebacker I've ever seen. Not only that, you were a role model and an older brother. Every time somebody was on some BS or not giving it their all, you were always there. Austin, you made me and others feel so special. You always used to call me a dog, even when I really was a cat. Then you tell me you believed in me, that you loved me, and that I could be great. You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. Ever since my freshman year, when I was uh, in your competition group, and we held doors for the elementary kids. I remember you coming to get me, blasting Future early in the morning. That ride to the school was so funny, and we ended up winning the competition. Man, we were so happy. Then this year, I wasn't in your group and had to compete against you. It was funny because every day I'd hear you yelling and bringing up so much energy. You were like the light in a dark room. You were the most hardworking, tough, inspirational, and talented person I knew. We were always going to have 12 on the field now. So this is allegedly a post from one of Austin's friends. If it is or isn't, the bigger thing here is this situation hurt more than just these two young men. This is so much bigger. What are we really teaching the children, our youth, through this situation? Through our behavior, through our actions online. What are we really saying to them? What example are we setting? Parents, activists, media. What precedents are we really setting for them when we don't keep the main thing the main thing? And the main thing is whether or not Carmelo Anthony can use self defense because he says basically he felt bullied. Would it have made a difference if it was a black boy who did? Yeah, it would have, because you probably wouldn't have talked about it. But every time both our races come head to head, it's got to be Clash of the Damn Titans. Instead of just saying, let's remove color. Let's deal with the situation. We'll get it one day. Maybe. Let's get into some of these Twitter comments. Matt Walsh said, if I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him he was in the wrong seat, and then I told you that one young man in this altercation was white and the other black, and then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant, every single person would know the answer immediately. Young black males are violent to a wildly, outrageously disproportionate degree. That's just a fact. We all know it, and it's time that we speak honestly about it, or nothing will ever change. Well, the same way that this can be said about young black men, we could also say the same about young white men taking the sticky icky icky to the schools, right? This is why nobody wins this argument. The fact that there's violence on either side is outrageous. Yes, the YNs cut up on our side. They do. But guess what? Billy and Timmy cut up on y'all side too. They do. Mhm. Do you know how many stories I go through of young white boys killing their whole family? I just showed y'all the picture. I believe, let me go back. Which one? Hold on. I'm gonna show you this one. This young man unalived his mother. Do you know what he said? Jeff made him do. He had a whole nother person living on the inside of him when he decided to just flip out and unalive his mama, and everybody around him claimed they didn't know why. And what does posting like this, how did this make you feel afterwards? Did you feel empowered? Did you? Did you feel like you were providing an answer to something? Because you didn't. You're just showing how you really felt all along when you say dumb shit like this. On both sides. We got a bunch of idiots saying idiotic stuff. We do. On both sides, we have delusion. We do. On both sides, we have a generation of young people who are in trouble. And we so busy looking at each other in the face and looking at color and wanting to point the finger at each other and talk about who should be here and who shouldn't be here, and all this race baiting and rage baiting, to the point where you got the adults ready to fight each other over words. Y'all ready to go to blow over words. The same thing y'all said Carmelo Anthony shouldn't have responded the way he did to. Y'all ready to take it to the street over comments. Nobody wins when the family feuds. But we ain't gonna get that. No. Because it's more fun and more exciting when you're a part of the drama, when you're part of the toxicity. Y'all like the burning part. Mm. Y'all like the running in the White House part. Mm. Some of y'all, us black people, like the rioting part. Mm. Because that's the exciting stuff. That's the stuff that makes people, oh, Look what bro got. Look what they out there doing. Coliseum. What I always say. The world now has become the Coliseum. Are you not entertained? That's all you want. This ain't a cause for some of y'all. Some of y'all ain't even really this concerned. You ain't even really this outraged. You just want to be a part of the entertainment. You just see it as a moment to echo what you hear everybody else saying for a moment to go viral. You have two families who've been utterly changed by not one action, but two. What do we always say? You always have freedom of choice. You don't always have freedom of consequence. Did the consequence match the choice? No. But in the heat of the moment, in the heat of anger, in the heat of rage, feeling backed up against the wall, whatever you want to call it, it was the consequence that was given to Austin's choice. Did it make it right? No. Did it make it premeditated? No. Did it make it first degree? No. I don't even see how they'll be able to prove first degree, in my opinion. It was two kids making a bad decision. Three included because Austin's brother was with him. And that bad decision cost one kid their life. But somehow we got to start having a conversation with our youth about weapons. Bigger than that, we've got to start as communities making it safer for our youth so they don't feel like they got to walk down the street and go to a track meet and go into school with a weapon for fear that they're going to be attacked and they need to protect themselves. How about we have those conversations instead of conversations about black and white? How about we do that? Because that's what brings change. Y'all want a revolution you ain't even ready for. Because we got too many immature individuals. You got the blind leading the blind, the deaf leading the deaf, and the dumb leading them all. Back in the day, the Black Panthers had a purpose. They had a goal. They had an end game. Not, I just hate all unmelanated people. Look at this next comment. Look, Tariq Nasheed said a suspected white supremacist named Austin Metcalf, pictured with his twin, allegedly demanded honor student Carmelo Anthony to give up his seat like it was the Jim Crow era. Carmelo defended himself from the alleged threat. The Daniel Penny case set this precedent. See, this is what I'm talking about. Why? Why? Where did you read that Austin Metcalf was a suspected white supremacist? Well, guess what? If Austin Metcalf can be a suspected white supremacist, then that means Carmelo Anthony can be a suspected gang member because they posted pictures with Carmelo with guns as well. Again, do you see how nobody wins? when we start this? Do you get it? But this is race baiting. This is rage baiting. And you know what it does? Just further pulls us apart. Meanwhile, y'all wonderful president that's calling for segregation and everything else, just minding his business. He ain't got to destroy us. All he got to do is get us to destroy each other. Y'all don't even see it. You don't even see the bigger picture. Wow. The next one is a Facebook comment. This lady said, in my humble opinion, we have all failed, white, black, whatever. We have white people calling KA a thug and a lowlife who acted stereotypically. We have black people calling AM a white supremacist and a bully who got what was coming to him. All of this without capital, the benefit of facts. We have let the nasty, nasty politicians from both parties win. We are a nation divided. Facts, I do know. Both boys were 17. Both boys ran track. Both boys had a bright future. One boy is deceased, the other may be incarcerated for life. Frisco lost two sons that day. This is a time to rise above our prejudice. All of the remaining teenagers are watching and listening to us grown, white and black, conservative and liberal people act like we don't know better. I am going to be very honest. I am white, conservative. My knee jerk reaction was typical. I am ashamed, but I admit that. Equally, I have seen very racist, mean posts from people in the black community as well. No matter your race, this is a double tragedy. I am growing, capital G, my mind for our future, and I encourage the rest of you to grow as well, or we will not have one. It's so easy to hate. God bless everyone. I mean, she said it. We've all failed. The black community, the white community, the government, we all failed. These two young men. And as long as we continue to behave the way we behave, we're going to continue to fail these two young men. It don't matter if you support Carmelo Anthony. He felt like he was defending himself. I get it. Maybe Austin was bigger than Carmelo. The full details of the interrogation ain't came out. Him and his brother approaching this black boy and this thing. Get it. He felt threatened. He felt he needed to defend himself. The question here is not whether he felt he needed to defend himself. It's whether or not the amount of force used to defend himself was justified. Facts of the matter is, Austin should have never approached her. He should have gotten an adult. He should have gotten security. Him and his brother. But being a tough guy, and I heard what Dad said when Dad said, "Oh, because my son told me we can't always believe these damn kids." Y'all know kids lie. Ain't nobody had kids that ain't never told them no lie. Nobody. You might not have known it was a lie, but please believe. Please. I went through 4 years in high school, and my mama only thought I got 3 report cards. Please believe. And I promise you it was 6 of them that was sent out every year. You can't sit back and act like your kids is innocent. The same way Austin didn't have to approach Anthony. Do y'all not realize Carmelo Anthony could have just moved? Or he could have just went and got his friend who allegedly invited him to the tent in the first place. And again, it's the coaches. Nobody intervened in this. There's your real monsters. People who sat back and watched it happen and did and said nothing. This tragedy didn't have to happen on either side. We got two young men who made horrible decisions. Horrible. But do you know what? This should be learning ground to teach our children. Stop thinking you big Billy badass and running up on people thinking that you can move them or remove them because you don't know what the consequence of your choice is going to be. Should also be a lesson for you to teach to your young black boys and girls. Violence ain't always the answer. You're not a punk. You're not a coward if you don't walk away. If you walk away. People who understand their purpose and their value and the fact that they have a future and a destiny and goals in front of them, they don't jeopardize that for nobody. And the same you can turn around and look them in their face and tell them, I didn't walk away for my benefit. I walked away for yours. There's some people that God keeps covered under the blood for a reason. And that's why some people walk away. But hold on a second. We so scared of being called a coward, a punk, a footy, that we willingly allow ourselves to walk into these situations because we feel like we have a point to prove. And y'all, if it looked like my hair is disappearing, it is partially disappearing because if y'all didn't know, my hair is actually green, it's blue green. So if my hair is disappearing off the screen, just say we working our magic up there because the thoughts is flowing. They flowing. All right. So, but when you really have dreams and goals and you trying to reach for something, you don't let nobody stop your progress. For what? If you say 1 + 1 is 10, guess what? 1 + 1 is 10. Yeah, it is. If you say 2 + 2 is 5, okay. 2 + 2 is 5. I'm not gonna explain to you why it's not 5. I'm not gonna explain to you what the real answer is. Do you know why? Because when a person has something made up in their mind, you ain't gonna be able to change it. You really not. If a person has made up in their mind what they think about you and what they feel about you, you ain't gonna be able to change it. So why should I waste the time and energy trying to? Why? Why are we in a day and age where we feel like we got so much to prove? I'm gonna beat your ass. Well, meet me in the street. You gotta go 30. You need that. You need that. Why? Who you trying to prove something to? Them or you? Is my question. How about we start having a conversation with our children about knowing yourself, knowing your worth, know who you are. So you don't care what nobody else has to say about you because you know who you are on the inside. And baby, when you know who you are on the inside, hold on one second. Let me show y'all something. Hold on one second. When you truly know who you are on the inside, this your response to everybody else.
Middle finger to my haters, all you bitch jealous. Fuck yeah. Been knew I was that bitch, I didn't need a man to tell me. The fuck? Crop middle finger.
But we don't teach this to our children is the problem. We don't. We don't. And my question is why? Do we hate each other so much that every time we come into contact, it's got to be volatile? You can't look at a white person without seeing the officers that unalived George Floyd in their face. Y'all can't look at a young black man without seeing Carmelo Anthony and the mistake of a split second decision he made. You don't know the difference between making a dumb decision and purposely trying to take somebody's life. You don't see the difference. This is what I got to say, and then we're going to continue it on tomorrow. We have got to get to a place on both sides. You know how when you hear a lot of people say, I don't see color, right? And y'all get so mad when you hear a person say, I don't see color, I don't see color. Y'all say, that's the dumbest thing you could have ever said, you don't see color. Well, no, it's not. What that phrase really means is I don't focus on color. See, we so busy trying to play the semantics thing with each other that we don't take the time out to listen to the heart of what individuals are saying. Sometimes it's the comprehension portion, the context and culture portion that we generally miss when we communicate with each other. It is. Do you know why? Because when people really say, I don't see color, what they're saying is, I'm not focused on the color of your skin. If you matching my vibe and the energy is right, we clicking. Period. I don't purposely leave out my house and say, oh, I'm just gonna go out and befriend black people. No. I don't purposely go out of my house and say, I'm only gonna talk to black people. No. You gotta start seeing individuals as individuals. You don't want to be judged by the color of your skin. You want to be judged by the content of your character. Well, guess what? The same grace that you want extended to you, you got to extend to others. You do. On both sides. And somehow we got to learn to come together and stop all of this hate. Stop all of this black versus white, us versus them. Let's just start calling a thing a thing. And unaliving happen. The question is not whether this was a race thing. The question is, was it self-defense? And what we fail to understand is two things can be right at the same time. Just as much as this boy could have felt allegedly threatened to the point where he had felt like he had to use deadly force, the same could be right that the situation wasn't that to the point where it required deadly force. You get it? So as this case is going on, and as we're watching it, because you know the world is going to be watching it, both sides got people on it ready to riot and go tear up the streets and start fights and get into it. You know why? Because they want to be entertaining. They don't really care about affecting change. They ain't what that's about. They just want to be seen. I don't get it. But we got to understand two things can be right at the same time. Why don't we have a round table discussion between black people and white people about coming together? Let's sit down and talk about it. Just like we got bad folks on our side, they got bad on their side. We ain't no different. That's the problem. What makes us different is the color of our skins and the way we think. When are we going to move on so that we can move forward and stop seeing each other as enemies? Because as much as black people see white people as the enemy, white people see black people as the enemy. And I know somebody can say, well, white people always seen black people as the enemy. Yep. But now you have the power to do something different. You're not a slave. You're not in chains. You're not in ropes. You're not subject to massa. Nor will we ever be again. Because this definitely ain't that generation. You can do something different. We can prove them wrong once and for all. I don't know. Show the world what real love look like. Y'all think about that? I don't know. Could that be a thought? Talk to our kids about putting the guns down. In my opinion, get rid of them altogether. That's my opinion. Because Nobody seems to be mature enough to handle them. The police ain't mature enough to handle them. The kids got them, and you know damn well they not mature enough to handle them. There's people walking around with licenses and CCWs that ain't mature enough to handle them and don't know what to do with them when they got them. Get rid of them. What do you need them for? Oh, I'm sorry, hunting. If I find them another way, I don't know. Let's work on changing our mindset and the way we think. That's my thoughts on it. But y'all, we're gonna continue the discussion on tomorrow. We really are. Um, I know there's a lot going on with the weather in different areas, so I know a lot of people might not have been able to make it on. Uh, Even in our area, we had a flash flood warning that was reissued again. The flooding here has been like really crazy. Thank God we haven't been affected. But we're definitely going to try to get back on tomorrow because we want to continue. I do have some video footage that we're going to get into, but I had to like really kind of speak my heart today about the situation because it's really sad. It's really sad. What's sadder than the situation is the way we're acting about it. That's what that's what's heartbreaking to me. People families getting death threats. Really? Y'all such cowards. The death threat thing is so played out. Why? Why? What does it prove? What? On either side. You got a family dealing with a lost kid. You got another family dealing with a kid who did it. You got two families torn. You got one kid who may have to go and sit for the rest of his life behind bars. Teenager. Then you got another kid who's no longer here. A teenager. It's sad. But we gonna get into it. I do want to know your thoughts. Please do me a favor and drop in the comments and let me know what you think about this whole situation. I really don't want to get into the racial thing in the comments, so please don't do that. I'm letting you know. If you cut up in my comments, please don't. Please. It's gonna become very undemure, is what I'm saying. And we like remaining demure, sweet, classy, sassy, and bubbly over here. Please act accordingly. But I do want to have a conversation. Whether you feel Carmelo is guilty and deserves to go away for the rest of his life, or whether you feel like he deserves some leniency or deserves not to be in jail. Either way, share your comments, share your thoughts, but please share it respectfully. Okay? Thank you for joining me today for another episode of Champagne Conversations. Y'all see, I found out a little bit how to merge OBS with StreamYard to get some of my background and stuff up in here. But um, do me a favor if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, join the Champagne Gang and the FizzFam. Become one of us. We would love to have you. Please remember, we are thinkers and drinkers over here. So go ahead and join the Champagne Gang. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we jump into whichever sector that we jump into for another show. And until next time, confidants, always remember, if it doesn't cause you to elevate, it's causing you to depreciate. Now raise those glasses, clink, and let's drink till we meet again. Ta-ta.